What's going on then, guys? So this is my arm session. Well, not my arm session. This is the Y3T arm session. I'm doing those negatives, still doing those 4-second negatives. It was crazy. It was like I keep saying, it's like you don't get this huge pump, and I kind of by the end of the session thought, oh, shall I throw in a bit more, do a couple more exercises? But literally before I went to bed that night, then my arms were already killing. So this one, the tricep press down, straight bar, starting with this one. Most of the rep ranges here, we're going for like 3 sets of about 8 to 10, sometimes 12 reps. Focusing on that 4-second negative. And it does kind of look like I'm proper locking out here, but what I'm actually doing is just going to the point of tensing without actually straightening my elbows out. But from this angle, it doesn't really look like that. So this is a great exercise. I like this one, but I prefer to use the easy style bar handle just because it's a bit of a nicer position for your wrists. And then it was on to the overhead tricep extensions, the cable with the rope. Now this one, you can't see it here, but what you want to avoid and not do at all actually is, oh, you can see it as I get to the top, you want to separate those ropes. You don't want them to come up together. You want to almost start separating them as soon as you can. You won't sort of actually separate them, but just the idea in your head of separating them will help you tense it just that little bit better. And also, while I'm on the overhead, since I started doing overhead style tricep extensions, so much better, hits the triceps so much harder, and gets a much better pump, gets much better growth, much more soreness the next day. And that's because your tricep connects right down just under your armpit, so you're getting an even bigger stretch on that muscle, which means an even longer, bigger contraction, rather than when your arms are down by your sides. You've only obviously got a certain amount of extension there, so there's obviously only a certain amount of extension you can do, contraction, sorry. Then finally, I think this is the final tricep exercise, onto the skull crushers, or the, I don't know, laying down easy bar tricep extension. So here, my mate's putting his arm out to make sure I don't lock out, and you can see the tension. As I get to the top, you can see the veins and the tension through the forearm, through the triceps. I'm not saying you can't ever lock out on exercises, there's just different techniques, and they're all good for all different things, and on this particular thing, by not locking out, it really does burn loads. I never used to like skull crushers. I always found there was an imbalance with my arms, and one arm would dip a bit more. I always found it was quite awkward to try and find the position. It does help if you try and keep your elbows in, rather than letting them flare out too much, but let them flare out a bit because it's a lot more comfortable on your wrists and things like that. Go on, son. Almost there you go. So it's nice. It's like, I'm used to going to absolute exhaustion. Like, I would fail on that normally, and then I'd throw in another tricep exercise or lower weights, and I'd just go crazy and fail. And it is good. That's what I prefer doing. But with this session, it still really works. It's crazy how much that negative really works. Here, just doing the bicep curls on the incline bench. Only enough incline so that it's enough to stretch the bicep, where the bicep connects under the shoulder or inside the shoulder. You're basically looking to stretch that. Like I was saying with the overhead tricep extensions, you're stretching the biceps out by putting the shoulders and the arm behind your body this little bit. If they were closer, you know, and I was sitting up straight or standing up, that muscle, the bicep muscles, they're not going to be as stretched. And by keeping your arms turned out, you're going to feel that focus on the biceps so much more than every time you turn in and it transfers onto your forearms and things like that. So this is way better doing it this way. And there's my normal faces. Look how many faces I pull. Look at them, there's so many. It's like a different one every time. But I don't care, because in that moment I'm just focusing on one thing, and that's getting past that burn. It's gonna hurt, and you just gotta think it'll be over soon. So you just keep on going, And I don't need a heavy weight, so I can do bicep curls with, say, 17s, 20 kg weights, things like that. But you don't need to. I got 10 kg here. Sometimes I might do a 7.5 on certain exercises where I'm doing a lot of reps, and it absolutely kills them. You don't need to go for massive weights and start throwing it up and using your body momentum to chuck those weights up. Here, bit of a dark light, but actually looks pretty cool on the arms and the shoulders. The easy bar bicep curl. So I need to come faster up. I've got a habit of when things get hard, it would be easier to chuck the weight up, like on this bit here. I need to get it up faster, but instead I start going slower, which actually makes it harder because there's a lot more focus on the burn and stuff there. So I need to focus it up. I get told in a minute by my partner to start chucking up a bit. I chuck it up, boom, and then focus on the negative. My shoulders here really coming out. The left shoulder on the right side of the picture is looking like it's uneven compared to the other one, but I think that's just because of the white wall behind the other one. Anyway, and then on to finish off the biceps, the hammer curls. I really like hammer curls. I think they hit the bicep really well, but my only qualm with them is that I find that it's better doing each arm individually, because I feel you've got a lot more strength going through that arm, so you can really hit the contraction better. You can hit a bit more weight than if you were doing alternate arms. Also, if you're doing alternating arms, like one arm at a time, one arm for one rep, then the other arm back and forth like that, what's happening there is, while the one arm is doing a rep, the other arm is getting like a 5, even 10 seconds, depending on how long your rep takes, rest. So it's going to take longer to get that burn and that contraction, and failure. So I prefer doing individual arms, but obviously the thing with doing individual sides is you've used up energy. Even if that muscle isn't burning, you've used up energy, you've used up mental energy, you've used up cardio energy. So then I feel sometimes, so I always hit my left arm first, because my left side is obviously the weaker side because I'm right-handed. And that goes to show when I do here on the last rep, where it gets hard, I just use the tips of my fingers from the other arm to just help the weight up through that hard middle zone. But then I take it off so I can focus on the negative. But with my right arm, I can hit the same amount of reps without even having to assist it. So I do tend to throw in a couple of extra reps sometimes in my own sessions on the left arm when I'm doing a set, because otherwise they're never going to catch up. And to be honest, maybe they never will, because you're always still going to be righting with your right arm. You're going to be throwing whatever you're doing with your stronger arm. You're just going to keep doing it. Nice pump on there. It's nice when the triceps are filled up. Everyone's always trying to fill up their biceps and get bigger biceps to make their arms look bigger in t-shirts. It will help, but the tricep makes up the majority of that part of the arm. So you need to be hitting the triceps hard, getting some size on those, and it will look better in a t-shirt if that's what you're after. Then on to calves again, literally with this Y3T, which is a good thing. It feels like you're doing calves and abs every other day. Which is a good thing, but I'm finding it quite hard with abs at the moment because they're tired, and then you've got to do core, and it's pretty tough. And the calves, this is working. My calves have been hurting a lot from those 4-second negatives, real sore. But I've always liked doing calves myself. I always thought I'm quite good at it. I really take them to failure. But then, like I said, I always thought it was just about that crazy failure and burn, and it is about that, and that is good. But just throwing in these negatives, it's crazy how much extra those calves hurt. They haven't felt like that in a long time, and I think that's because it's really hitting your different muscle fibers, your different type of fibers, which normally wouldn't have to get hit when you're going for that all-out exhaustion or fatigue style stuff, So after the standing calf press, onto the seated calf press. Here, I don't like to hold on to those handles, because no matter what, even if it doesn't feel like it, you are going to help your calves out. So I try to hold on to just my legs, the side, whatever. Like, I'm not actually lifting the bench there, I'm just finding somewhere to put my hands. And the only time then I'll start using my hands, like now, is when I get to the top. You can't fully extend it, can't quite get it as high as it needs to be. So I just use a slight bit of pressure from my hands just to help get it up to the top so I can get a bigger contraction. And then it's all good. It looks like I'm not trying very hard there, just talking, but someone wanted to use another machine, and my camera was in the way a little bit, so I was just saying go for it. Yeah, so here now, coming to fail a little bit, can't quite get the height, so getting ready with my arms really. Arms looking quite good, my hand. There you go, so a little hit then, so I let it go up, then I use my hands. So I go up, then I use my hands to get it that bit higher, and then I let go and focus all the negative on my calves and not allow my arms to do it. Arms come off. A lot of people straight from the off, hands on, helping themselves out the whole time, and that's probably where you're having some trouble with your calves. Especially like on the standing one, you might be using your knees too much to get you up. And that is that one done. Arm session done. Quite enjoyed it actually. I've always had trouble with arm sessions because I always find like the pump gets too crazy, too quick, and I can't move my arms anymore, so I find it hard to contract after that. If you haven't seen it, go back and check out the last video. leg session. It was a ham session. It was really good. I liked it. I need a lot more focus on hams. And if you haven't, please subscribe. That would be absolutely awesome. There's a lot more videos coming now in the future, ones that are my training, my style of training, and I'll be a lot more enthusiastic with that because I know what I'm doing there. I enjoy it, so I can really try and bring that information to you a lot better than trying to explain someone else's style of training like this Y3T. Please give it a thumbs up as well, and until next time, it is out from me.